so we're back talking some more Season 3 of Chucky on the channel, Episode 4, the conclusion to Part 1 of Season 3. Considering the fact the initial intention for Episode 4 wasn't a finale because we're only halfway through Season 3, it was only broken up because of the writer's strike and the SAG strike, so they couldn't finish all of Season 3. I would say Episode 4, for the most part, is a pretty fun experience. Ever since I dropped my review for Season 3, a lot of people have been asking me which of these 4 episodes is my favorite one, and every single time I have been saying that Episode 4 is my personal favorite. I love the overall atmosphere because the episode is centered around a big Halloween party. And when it comes to the Jennifer Tilly angle of the episode, which we'll get into later on, I feel like that is going to be one of the more divisive elements, just due to the fact that it is extremely over the top and campy. As I alluded to, the main event, if you will, for Episode 4 is a lavish Halloween ball set in the White House. Of course, this provides not only a perfect opportunity for Jake, Devin, and Lexi to get inside the White House to stop Chucky, but it also, at the same time, is a trap being set by Price, since he's still trying to figure out who exactly is killing all these people in the White House. Of course, being a Halloween party, one of the most exciting aspects is the fact that all these different characters are going to be dressing up in a wide variety of different costumes. Most of them were pretty mundane. The president's costume didn't excite me all that much, but I died laughing once it was revealed what Chucky decided to wear for this outing, and he dresses up like the freaking Phantom of the Opera. Not only just an amazing costume choice, but very befitting of the situation that Chucky is in right now, since he is getting older, looking older, and wants to hide all of his disfigurements while preparing for everyone's arrival. Plus, for good measure, this also is the same costume that Joseph wore before he passed away, which will cause some confusion later. Hopefully somebody at Universal starts making some Phantom of the Opera Chucky merch, because I would definitely buy some. While this storyline is playing out, we shift back and forth between it and Tiffany's storyline. Considering last week we found out she was sentenced to death, she makes her way now to death row. And this storyline at large does have me a bit torn as a big-time Child's Play Chucky fan. And it isn't the fault of Jennifer Tilly. I think Jennifer Tilly is still continuing to do a fantastic job portraying the character. But most of my problems pertain to just how immensely goofy her storyline is this week and what it devolves into, settling into death row and befriending inmates and making some enemies along the way too. Now, as somebody that is quite a big fan of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the sequels not so much. The poster for that third one that just came out is a whole horror story in of itself. I was hyped though when Nia Vardalos showed us this other inmate that kind of befriends Tiffany. Another kind of fun detail is it sounds like this Swedish meatball recipe that Chucky has always loved that Tiffany made actually originally came from this woman. And this character has quite the backstory that we find out when she's talking with Tiffany. He's a former chef who decided to pull an Arya Stark and just bake her ex-husband into a pie. Seems like the type of crazy person that Tiffany would befriend. The only problem is she wasn't overly fond of the fact that she killed her sister. Technically, Tiffany isn't Meg Tilly's sister, but you know what I mean. This entire section involving the Halloween party at the White House, though, all of that stuff I had so much fun with. I thought it was really cool that Jake, Devin, and Lexi arrived to this party dressed up like good guy dolls while trying to sneak around the White House and get footage of Chucky. Even though we've seen Grant interact with Jake, Devin, and Lexi a decent amount, it was still pretty great to see finally these character groups intertwining. Jake, Devin, and Lexi talking to President Collins and his wife. Not all of the elements I was fond of, though, if I'm being honest. For example, when we see Jake, Devin, and Lexi go off and investigate the White House, when it seems like Grant and Lexi might actually have some actual real feelings for one another. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of that idea, but I'm not completely against it either. We'll see where that develops for the rest of the season. And then out of nowhere, you have President Collins having these crazy hallucinations, thinking that he sees his dead son Joseph walking around the party, which almost seemed like a thing that popped up out of nowhere. We have seen before that President Collins likes to dabble in some drugs, but I don't know if necessarily that is the true reason for why he'd started to see his dead son walking around. Do you possibly think this just so happens to be another kid dressed up like Phantom of the Opera that we never see again in the entire episode? How would you interpret this sequence? Now that we established this prison beef between Evelyn and Tiffany, this was when the campiness started to cross over into the too much category, for me at least. Yet again, the old reliable Voodoo's for Dummies book that Tiffany and Chucky used. Tiffany uses it this time with a bunch of other materials to create a voodoo doll of Evelyn. That part in of itself isn't the bad part, but it's what it evolves into. It just gets so over the top though. Making her stab herself, put her face on the grill, dunking her head in boiling water. It just got way too silly, over the top. Reminded me of something out of like the Looney Tunes, not Chucky. But with where we leave off Tiffany's story and how it hangs in the balance because it's seems like Tiffany is going to be breaking out in some shape or form very soon because she's using that book to pretty much take over the prison. Firstly being Evelyn and now the security guard, have her gather supplies and bring them back to her. So who knows how much longer Tiffany truly will be in death row. Fortunately, periodically we do cut back to Chucky, and I'm loving that he's fully just embodying becoming the Phantom of the Opera and the way that he's spying on the party from above while he's hanging out with Henry. Even though we do know for the most part now what Chucky's motivations are, there still is some level of intrigue and mystery on what exactly he's trying to accomplish at this party. Given the fact he's not made it to 6 kills yet, so pretty much everybody in this party could be a potential victim, which certainly ramps up the tension for everyone's together with Henry holding Chucky with Lexi, Devin, and Jake all here. Since I've known the truth about this sequence ever since it was released in the trailer, it's been so tough to not reveal it to people, not spoil the surprise, because they have been teasing a lot. The sequence when President Collins walks up to Chucky thinking that he's his dead son, that maybe potentially this is the way that we kill off Devin Sawa in season 3, because he doesn't have the best track record. He has played a lot of characters in this show that have unfortunately died because of Chucky. The sequence also perplexes me in a lot of different ways. Firstly, the fact that Joseph looks absolutely nothing like Chucky. The real Joseph had black hair, Chucky is a ginger. I don't know how you mistake the two, especially considering the fact he saw Chucky in the costume in the beginning of the episode. But it's a major fake out. He's perfectly fine. He gets to live on in the part 2 of season 3. That for sure, I have no idea if he's gonna die or not in. Although it would be kind of tough, I feel like, to kill the President of the United States, but I wouldn't put anything past Chucky and the writers of this show. Which, speaking of, unfortunately, while President Collins gets away safe, a lot of people don't. Chucky loosened the bolts on the chandelier, and it just comes crashing down on a giant crowd of people, taking out so many people in brutal, gory, nasty fashion. At this point, Chucky is just an overachiever, and there are so many bodies on the floor. All of it looks so gnarly, taking out several characters that we are aware of from the cast, like the reporter getting cut in half. I think probably has the most disgusting out of all the deaths, although the reporter did get dismembered. It's the fact that Annie got up and it seemed like she got away perfectly fine, and then her face just falls off. Like, ew. Now, like I said previously, episode 4 was not originally intended as a finale whatsoever, so there isn't like a big cliffhanger ending in a sense, although I would say there's still a cliffhanger, but it's not as big as you would expect from a show like this. Because now that Chucky has made more than enough sacrifices for Damballa, he does try yet another incantation, and it seems like yet again, it doesn't work. He's still dying, and then we even get a full glimpse of what Chucky looks like now, and he is looking rough. Very old, probably the worst he's probably ever looked. Not entirely sure if we're gonna give him a name, but I'm just gonna call this version of Chucky Grandpa Chucky. Sadly, that is where we conclude part 1 of season 3 with so many plot threads still left hanging in the balance that I'm really intrigued in where we're going to go with by season's end, because we do have 4 episodes left. Who would have guessed the biggest battle that Chucky's facing this season is just getting old? Who knows when those episodes are going to come out because of the SAG strike still going on. I'm hoping and praying that the SAG strike finally gets concluded in some shape or form as soon as possible, even though it seems like it's going to drag on a little bit longer. Once the SAG strike is over, we'll get more Chucky. They got to film the rest of season 3, and then we'll actually get these episodes. But now I heard my thoughts on the last episode of part 1 of season 3 of Chucky. Share your thoughts down below. How did you feel about the episode? Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episode? How did you feel about all the things that went down in episode 4? Phantom of the Opera Chucky, the fact that President Collins actually survived through part 1, the stuff with Tiffany, and any thoughts or theories you think we're going to go with the rest of the season and the 4 episodes that follow in part 2 of season 3. Either way, share all your thoughts down below, because part of the fun is having that conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. Thank you guys, as always, for that videos. I always do appreciate it. Make sure you like on the video and also subscribe to the channel to update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, see you guys later.